Stacey Abrams stirred up conversation on abortion late last week. Let's watch.
There is no such thing as a heartbeat at 6 weeks. It is a manufactured sound designed to convince people that men have the right to take control of a woman's body away from her.
Abrams received major backlash over her allegations, and outrage ensued after Planned Parenthood allegedly altered its definition of what happens during weeks 5 through 6 of pregnancy. Before Heartbeat Gate, Planned Parenthood said that basic beating heart and circulatory systems develop during this time. However, internet sleuths spotted a change to the definition that now reads a part of the embryo starts to show cardiac activity. It sounds like a heartbeat on an ultrasound, but it's not a fully formed heart. It's the earliest stage of the heart developing.
Yeah, so I was looking at this, people were talking about this on social media. It looks like the conservatives are just correct.
Really?
Like they just change. I mean,
about changing.
You know what policy that that suggests is, you know, whatever, people can debate that. But I think
Sure.
if you're pro-choice and you think abortion should be legal at that stage of pregnancy, I think you can think that, but you have to concede that there is activity. I mean, now we're using euphemisms. Now we're dancing around. Well, it's not a heartbeat. It's cardiac activity. Activity.
Right.
It sounds like a heartbeat, but it's not technically a heartbeat.
Electrical
we're being a little cute here.
Well, there's
heartbeat is an electrical
activity in the cardiac tissue. But it doesn't constitute a heartbeat. But well, it's also a question of framing, right? Like obviously hearts are connote a lot of emotion, or evoke, I should say, a lot of emotion, and, you know, heart-shaped things on Valentine's Day, and, you know.
Well, yeah.
Heart.
Look, I support, I'm sort of a moderate on abortion. Yeah. I would have it legal at that stage of pregnancy. I've said on the show that I think the approach they take in like peer countries in Europe, the 12 to 14 weeks, seems like a perfectly reasonable policy to my eye. Maybe we would have it be slightly different. Maybe there can be exceptions later, but you know, that is what the Supreme Court decision allows for states to have that regime. So I'm kind of fine with that. This, I would allow it. I mean, I would like to empower people to have choices other than abortion, to have access to birth control, et cetera. You know, all sorts of things, so we can have as few abortions as possible. Like safe, legal, and rare seems fine to me. I don't know why we had to throw that out, but you do have to concede that you sound it's anti-science almost to pretend that that's just not what the reality is.
Well, blood flow begins at week 4.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
Yeah. Look, cells are organizing themselves into a human being over a process that takes up to 9 months, and it is a more developed person, thing, entity after 3 weeks, after 6 weeks, after 10 weeks, after it's just and at what stage does that entity's right to exist take precedence over the rights of the entity that it resides within? This is I mean, it's a tough. This is why this question is I think legitimately hard for people. It is there's nothing else like this in all of nature and all the world. You can just adjudicate property rights. Is this your property? Then you can do what you want. If it's not, you can't. Are you trespassing there? Well, then you have to leave. You don't get to be killed. You just leave. Right. We have a unique property rights dispute where an entity that will be a living, breathing human being with just as much rights as anyone else is coming into existence inside someone else, and how do it's tough.
Yeah,
it's legitimately tough.
I mean, I do think that and the cardiac tissue does start pumping the blood at around week 6.
Yes, that sounds like a heartbeat.
Flow. Yeah, about week 6.
Yeah.
Okay. And I do think, though, that, you know, this is a hard issue to deal with and to talk about. But, of course, a lot of people who are making this argument about the heartbeat, the fetal heartbeat, don't care about, like, the beating hearts of people who are alive.
Oh, you mean this is the idea that, well, if you care so much about life, why don't you support policies?
Yeah, and or why not support the right of a woman and her doctor to decide? Because there are cases, obviously, when a woman's life. I mean, there's that issue of policy, but there's also people should be erring on the side of making sure a woman doesn't die.
Absolutely, right. And I have no desire whatsoever to really intervene or have the state intervene on complicated medical decisions, et cetera. So I get it. We want to switch gears to another viral clip.
Let's abort that topic. I'm sorry.
Wow. Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff, that's fine. We can have some humor here. He reiterated his support of employees seeking abortion, specifically in states like Indiana, declared that tech giant would leave Republican-led states that enforce an abortion ban. Let's watch.
We actually just said, if you're going to discriminate against our employees, we're not going to be able to set up shop there. And when we said that, 200 other companies the next day, the largest companies in the United States, all said, we agree, we have to support our LGBTQ communities as well. Look, we have to be for equality. We have to be for dignity. We have to be for the equality and dignity of every human being. And if you're not for equality and dignity, then, this is not something that I can work with, and we're going to have to exit your city or your state, just as we have in many places.
I'm confused as to why he's talking about an abortion policy. Why does that have a discriminatory or disproportionate impact on LGBTQ people?
I think he's talking about a whole suite.
I wondered if we're going again the ACLU route of saying abortion restrictions are particular. Remember that tweet they had that was how abortion in particular impacts. They listed minorities and they had the LGBT community. It significantly impacts women. Yeah. People who have children. Not
right. Is that what he's saying? Is he saying that it impacts? I thought he was maybe referring to like some other, or just some other conservative policies. Yeah. But it's
well, look, that's fine. You don't like the policies of state? Exit, headquarters somewhere else, move somewhere else. Of course, we're seeing a lot of the opposite phenomenon that many businesses, especially in the tech sector, don't like not the social policies or the policies relating to discrimination or abortion. They don't like the climate for business in places like the state of California, and they're moving to red states.
Right.
So I don't know. They could headquarter in if I had my own state that would have a very permissive, a very libertarian social policy that would be extremely hands off in telling people how they live their lives or how they conduct themselves. Personally, Robby Stan it will not be like the other stands. It will be very permissive on social issues, and then also it will be on economic issues. There'll be no taxes.
Right.
There will be no regulation.
Katie Stan will have some taxes.
Taxes and regulation. But we can have an open border policy.
We can.
Absolutely.
You
can come back and forth between Katie Stan and Robby Stan.
Definitely.
Everybody from Katie Stan.
Right of return for both ways.
Absolutely.
Unlike Israel.
Yep. This is a two-state solution that will actually work.
Yeah, we just solved it. We just figured it out.
For secular Jews and Italian
Americans.
Italian Americans. All right, more Rising after this.